Every nation has a story. Every people carry a past. And history shapes the world we live in today.
Today, we are going to dive into such a nation, which is not just a country.
From distant beginnings to global influence, this land's story would change the world. This is America. Before the first footprints, there was only the land. Carved by glaciers and weathered by eons, the continent waited in silence. Then, the silence broke. Across a bridge of ice and tundra, the first pioneers arrived. By 1100 AD, the city of Cahokia near the Mississippi was a marvel of engineering, larger and more populous than London.
In the southwest, the ancestral Puebloans built sophisticated stone apartments into the very ribs of the earth.
Rumors of the land traveled east. Norse explorers reached the shores of Newfoundland centuries before the Mediterranean world took notice.
1492. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. A voyage intended for the East Indies.
It was more than a meeting of people. It was a collision of biologies. Europe brought horses and steel. America gave the world corn and potatoes.
But the exchange was deadly. Smallpox and measles arrived as an invisible army, decimating up to 90% of the native population.
England's first attempt at Roanoke ended in mystery. A colony vanished into the mist, leaving only a single word behind.
John Rolfe brought brown gold. Tobacco saved the colony but created an insatiable hunger for land and labor.
1620. The Pilgrims arrived seeking a city upon a hill, bringing a different kind of fervor, one of religious utopia.
In 1619, a Dutch ship brought 20 and odd Africans to Virginia. In New England, life was governed by the Bible. Dissenters were cast out, and the seeds of American self-government.
1676. A rebellion of poor whites and blacks forced the elite to harden the lines of race, ensuring the poor would never unite again.
Panic gripped the colonies. In Salem, fear of the devil turned neighbors into executioners.
A spiritual fire swept the land. People began to question the authority of the church, and soon they would question the king.
The world's first global war began in the American wilderness. It was a victory for the British, but
The king forbade his subjects from crossing the mountains. To the Americans, the land they had fought for was being held hostage.
No taxation without representation. The cry echoed from Boston to Charleston as the colonies found a common enemy. 5 men died in the snow. A riot became a massacre, and the massacre became a rallying cry.
342 crates of tea. A symbolic act of defiance that the British Empire could not ignore.
The shot heard around the world. The time for talk was over.
Thomas Paine argued it was absurd for a continent to be ruled by an island. His words turned a rebellion into a revolution.
1776. The boldest claim in human history, that all men are created equal and have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
The war began with disaster. Washington's army was nearly destroyed in New York, saved only by the cover of a thick fog.
The low point. In the bitter cold of Valley Forge, the American army didn't just survive, they transformed into a professional fighting force. With the help of the French fleet, the impossible happened. The greatest empire on earth was defeated by a ragtag collection of rebels. 1787, Philadelphia. They gathered to build a framework for a nation, debating power, representation, and the shadows of slavery.
For $15 million, Thomas Jefferson bought an empire. The United States doubled in size overnight. They charted the unknown, seeking a path to the Pacific and discovering a continent of wonders and dangers.
A second war with Britain proved that the young republic was here to stay, even as its capital burned.
The price of expansion was paid by the first Americans. Thousands died on a forced march to the west.
The artificial river linked the Atlantic to the west, making New York the center of the world. Eli Whitney's invention was meant to ease labor. Instead, it made slavery the most profitable industry in the South. Oregon or bust. Thousands risked everything to find a new life in the West.
A man who escaped slavery became the most powerful voice for freedom, shaming the nation for its hypocrisy.
A radical abolitionist tried to spark a slave revolt. He failed, but he became a martyr for the cause.
With the election of a tall lawyer from Illinois, the South decided it could no longer stay in the Union.
The first shots, brother against brother. The war had begun.
The bloodiest day in American history. 23,000 casualties in 12 hours. Lincoln changed the goal of the war. It was no longer just about the Union. It was about freedom.
77 years ago. A new birth of freedom.
The guns fell silent. The Union was saved, but the South was in ruins.
Just as peace arrived, the great emancipator was taken. The nation mourned as it faced an uncertain future.
Iron rails linked the oceans. The distance between east and west was crushed. Oil became the new blood of the economy, and one man controlled it all. They came for a better life. In the halls of Ellis Island, a new America was being born.
The final tragic chapter of the Indian Wars. The frontier was officially closed.
Humanity took flight. The world was about to get much smaller.
America entered the Great War, tipping the scales and emerging as a global superpower.
A decade of jazz, radio, and excess. The party seemed like it would never end.
First!
The earth itself turned against the farmers. The dirty 30s forced a mass migration.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
A date which will live in infamy.
America was pulled into the greatest conflict in human history.
The liberation of Europe began on the beaches of Normandy. The fate of the world hung in the balance.
The Cold War divided the world. Two superpowers faced off in a nuclear stalemate.
An idea took shape, one that would echo across generations.
For a moment, the whole world watched as humans left their cradle.
A war that divided the country and left a permanent scar on the American psyche.
Public confidence was shaken. Leadership changed, and an era quietly came to an end.
The Iron Curtain fell. The Cold War ended without a single shot being fired. A defining moment reshaped the century. From that day forward, the world carried a deeper sense of vulnerability.
Technology became personal. Information fit into our hands, reshaping how people connected with the world and with each other.
We are a nation in transition, debating our future while carrying the weight of our past.
The tapestry is not finished. We are the weavers of the next chapter.
If you love history, personality, and adventures, dive deep into our channel. Subscribe, like, and comment.